Hello, Crispin Sanford here for the Culture Machine. This is my a show. It's called The Film Shoot, and there's a little bit of irony in that title because there's so much that goes into making a film, short, long, any real production, a video that you're making for your YouTube channel. There's a lot that goes into it, and this is a pre-season series. So it's the Film Shoot pre-season. So it's the first pre-season, and the whole idea of it is that I'd like to make a short film in 2020, starting in January. I have lots of shorts. I think I have one in mind already that will be this one that I shoot for in the course of 2020. And but yeah, this is all of the lead up to that, right? Because I want to build a group, I want to build a team, I want to build an audience, and also I want to share the things that I know, what I've understood and what I've learned about everything that goes into making films, right? It's partly the way I think I'm going to be able to build everything that I need in order to shoot the film. It's the way I want to get the audience, get the financing, get sponsors, etc. This is a key part of that strategy. So yeah, without any further ado, I suppose, maybe some further ado. So I guess the series 1 will start in January, and this pre-series is the lead up to that, right? I think I made that clear. Okay, so without any further ado, here we go. So I created this document. It's on being a filmmaker, and it goes through several stages. Now, I know I've looked online, I read books, I've read magazines. I know in 2010 there was a magazine called Filmmaking magazine, and it released a special edition, and it had I think six sections. And I've got the magazine right here. This is the magazine, and it was the Complete Guide to Making Movies 2010. So that's forever ago, and it divides it up into screenwriting, development and pre-production, production, post-production, and then exhibition and promotion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, only 5 sections. I have 10 sections. And what's funny is that, even in that list, it doesn't talk about packaging, right? It doesn't talk about, it says screenwriting as the first section, but it doesn't talk about learning how to write or learning how to shoot camera. It doesn't talk about technical teams. I mean, packaging a good movie includes all of the talent, the behind the camera talent, in front of the camera talent, but yeah, it doesn't talk about getting into the place where you can make great films. And also, after the film's been exhibited and promoted and released, I mean, it doesn't even say distribution in that package, in that list of things. So, but as I was going to say, every look on the internet, every book I've read, any magazine article that I've read, they never have a comprehensive list of each of the different stages, each of the different areas that you need to have competence in and have accomplished what's required at that stage to move forward into the next stage. That I developed my own, right? I mean, I think that was a lot of what I've been doing in between now and then. And, I came out to America in 1993 and worked for studios. I worked at agencies and management companies, and did so much to be able to understand the whole filmmaking process. And so I kind of want to give secrets. I kind of want to share what I feel will become, when all of you guys join in and we put our heads together and I, put it all down into, we all put it into a group accomplishing the process of making films and expanding and making it possible for everybody that are in our tribe, to our group, to make films, to build a career, etc., 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 then, you know, it'll become a much more comprehensive body of material. But, you know, I've gone through and, as I say, broken down the different stages. And you know, I don't know if, I think mainly it's because no one has gone to the trouble of doing it. Everyone's so busy wanting to make their film that they don't do a comprehensive sweep, break down the information that's available, find out what's missing, fill in that void, do a reevaluation of terms or that people use to see, are they relevant? Are they being used anymore? Are they helpful? Are they codified? I don't know anyone who's done that. I'm assuming film schools are much, much better these days. And, you know, somewhere like USC probably has, you know, these areas, a lot of these areas extensively covered. But even then, I'm not convinced, right? I don't, I have friends all over, and, you know, no one's given me the clear indication that there's a comprehensive body of material that covers each part of the film industry and what's required to make a film. So yeah, I've yet to be convinced that somebody else has done the work. And I also know that even if, you know, my ambition to put the work together still requires a lot of work. But yeah, so anyway, the story so far is that I've broken it down into 10 areas, right? And we're going to cover these through this pre-season series of videos. And then, you know, I'm sure we'll do videos that include following the steps, right? Like going in deep on these segments. So the overview of the 10 segments, right? The filmmaking process is number one. Understanding the filmmaking process, the creative process, the technical process, and then the administrative process. Again, I don't see film schools breaking down the script department in a studio. I know when I worked at Warner Brothers Studios, we had a whole script. There was the story department that was in the execs building, the main administration, and there was a copy machine in there, and the guy in there would copy scripts that were needed for weekend reads, definitely, and you're just preparing materials. I would copy materials now in the script processing department, way over the other end of the lot, and I would be printing hundreds of scripts for, you know, being for production companies. I would copy scripts for the execs. I would copy TV scripts for the TV production companies. And I know we sent scripts all over the world to be screened and be a part of that whole process. There was a whole continuity script. It was usually about this thick compared to the normal script that's that thick. But it broke the whole thing down so that when it's translated in different languages, there's the way in which you screen the text at the right time to ensure, even if you don't understand the language, you can translate and place the translation on the screen at the appropriate time, right? So, and I would copy those scripts and prepare them in order to be sent all over the world, right? So they don't teach that at film school, that, you know, there's the story department, there's script processing, and they don't explain, you know, how the mainframe works. Or I had a Xerox machine, and in like 1994 and 95 when I was there, I mean, that copy Xerox machine was like a $500,000 copier. And that was just one of the ways in which we prepared scripts. So yeah, and the forms that were filled out by the production companies that would go through a process to where I would get an order. They don't teach those administrative forms, that structure, that flow line at film school, right? So they're alone. They're easily, you can see, you know, you're not learning everything you need to know to to understand the complete process of making films and ensuring that as a production company, where if you are making films and if you're expecting to release that film or get that film shown in different countries in the world, unless you understand the combined continuity script, unless you understand who's involved in the whole procedure of ordering, of getting a contract for that film to be shown in a certain country for a certain date, getting that combined continuity script, all of the contracts involved and what needs to be agreed to, the dubbing or creating the text for that language. There's so much that goes into ensuring that a film can be distributed and shown around the world, even after it's made and had an initial distribution. That you're lacking as a capable, fully operating and global with global operations organization and company, and are unlikely to see your films made, distributed around the world on a regular basis without that knowledge, unless you have sold all your rights and to a studio that does have that set up, right? So my idea, even though I would like to start making short films, building into a production company where other people, helping them make short films, making commercials and industrials as a viable and expanding and dynamic company, and then also getting into independent feature films that ultimately spark a big, quote independent, but a big independent company able to make and distribute films 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, when I'm 55 and 65 and for as long as I can do it, right? I want to understand how the whole process works and how to make sure great movies get made. So basically, what I'm saying in this first stage of making films is understanding the filmmaking process from the creative side, that writing the script, acting, set design, sound design, lighting, costumes, hair, makeup, locations, blocking, cinematography, all of these different elements. You need to understand how to do those, right? Or there are people on your production, on your crew, that understand how to do those. And it really should be possible for that information to be codified and made available to train people when they mess up, to ensure that they can be corrected and do the job right? Because that seems like an awful way. Somebody's passionate about making films, but they make a mistake in a certain area. You should be able to train that person. It's just standard quality control for personnel to be able to train them specifically and have the materials in writing. And then the technical process, loading a film, the different types of cameras that you have to load, using different media, whether it's digital, a hard drive, direct to a hard drive. There's all kinds of different ways. Now, the level of understanding that you need to make a short film using a digital camera or an iPhone or an XL2 or what have you, or a red camera, right? I mean, that's pretty high end. Let's not have the red camera quite now, but a pretty prosumer digital camera. There's a level of understanding that you need to make a film, and a short film. You need to understand everything that goes into making an independent film, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier doing a short film shoot and getting that movie in the can for it when it's a short film than when it's a feature, right? But you still need to understand, what's required to make sure the camera's ready. Probably having phones charging to shoot the film, having a computer nearby to download the film, and just be able to recycle using several iPhone cameras or digital cameras with battery packs. You need to have batteries, and make sure that there's enough charging to ensure that you have enough energy available for your digital camera to shoot for the whole day. You know, I mean, it may sound silly, you know, to kind of think with this kind of detail and to go into this kind of depth, making just a simple short film. But I don't think there's any other way you're going to be able to successfully make a film, whether it's short or a feature length, and definitely when it's feature length, if you haven't disciplined yourself and practiced all of the different elements that go into making a film, including making sure you have enough batteries. I mean, one of the worst scenarios I ever had is a friend of mine. I think he's even a friend on Facebook. I don't know if he's a member of the Culture Machine yet. I should do a quick check, and I should add him if he's not. But I remember, you know, he went to a really good school. Went to Stanford. I consider that a good school. And this is many, many, many years ago. Remember, some of my stories are going to be from the 90s, and you know, studying drama in the 80s and 90s, and also, you know, like I said, this magazine is from 2010 that I'm referencing, Filmmaker magazine, where it had several categories, not all of the categories, I don't think, but yeah, this was probably from 2005 or 2000, maybe even earlier. But he told me he went to Stanford, graduated, had raised the money to make a small film. I think it was like in a couple of millions of dollars that he'd raised, and he was kind of anxious to start to direct his film. Now, I remember one of my books. Let's see if I can grab it. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite books in the whole universe, Grammar of the Film Language, and it is super, super comprehensive about filmmaking, shooting, you know, extensive, from whether it's two people, you know, it's got like camera setups for two people, and then it's got camera setups for whole groups of people when you're doing a large setup. I love this book so much. You know, so here you've got like a large group, a small group within a large group, shooting a boardroom. But anyway, this is an extensive book, and I love this book. I remember I pulled that book out to somebody who graduated from NYU, who went film school. Really nice guy, great guy, I loved him. We were working at E! Entertainment Television, actually. And because I wanted to learn everything, right? So I was working at a cable network show as well, TV and a cable network company. And yeah, I said, how much would you say you learned at the film school, NYU? This is a long time ago. I'm sure it's come a long way since then. So again, this is probably like this is probably 2000. And, you know, he said probably the first 6 pages, you know, over the shoulder, the different shots, full shot, extreme close-up, headshot, and shooting with 2 people. I mean, it was just like 6 pages of this. He's rather down about it, but this is over 600 pages, this book. And he was pretty bummed about that, you know. So anyway, so I had this friend who went to Stanford. He graduated from the film school there. And as I said, you know, he too felt a bit uncomfortable and a little unconfident about being able to do the job. But a friend of his was a really great line producer. Line producer can have different roles on different movies, but basically is responsible for making sure work gets done. They know the accounts, the camera shop, or the lighting company, and they are just making sure that all the equipment and facilities and any the things that are needed for there on the day arrive. You know, you can consider that the unit production manager's responsibility or a producer's responsibility, but typically a line producer is like, they're doing the work, making sure everything gets done and arrives, etc. And they typically report to the studio. They're a studio man very often, in order to make sure that everything stays on track. But anyway, this guy really knows his stuff, and he said, you know, to the guy I know, he said, yeah, man, like, I'll help you make this movie. So he's got the funding, he has a passion for film, he went to film school, he's a little unconfident about all that's going to be required to make it, but he's got his friend. So they get all the wheels in motion, and they schedule everything out. They've got the cast, the equipment booked, you know, checks have been deposited, and you know, they start shooting. And a couple of days in, this friend of my friend gets a major gig and flies out. Like, it's over. Friend is in full panic mode, but he desperately tries to do the work, to get everything done, to make this film. They shoot what they shoot, but they run out of time, they run out of money, they're losing people, it's hemorrhaging, and the movie never gets finished, certainly never gets edited, and the money, I don't know if it was 1 million or 2 million or even 500,000, but it was like low budget range. I'm just trying to remember the number of hand, but I think it's in that range. Not the biggest amount of money, but that's a hell of a lot of money to be spending, and got no result, right? It was over. He did not know what to do. He didn't know who to call to replace the guy. The guy didn't replace the guy. This is, I think, before smartphones. I mean, I'm sure there was definitely cell phones, but you know, texting and he would have still. Anyway, it was at a time where, you know, he was not put upon through Facebook and social media. Pressure wasn't being put upon his buddy to replace himself. And you know, he was so devastated, I don't think he even tried. So it was a disaster. And I want to be a filmmaker that isn't in that position, ever, not once. And I want to be so thoroughly prepared to make my film, like multiple short films, all profitable, all professionally done and put together. And you know, life happens, of course, but you have people come in, you know who to call to replace somebody. You're set up to succeed, right? That's what I want to do for you. That's what I want to do for me. And that's why I've gone to the lengths I've gone to ensure that I succeed when the time comes. But yeah, because I want to know when the money comes in, and you know, the film goes out, if you know, investors get paid back, an audience enjoys the movie, it is given a screening at a theater, ideally, obviously, or a screening room, where it's a fun event afterwards. There's drinks and gatherings, and there's a VIP section. I mean, I want all of that experience for the people involved, the sponsors and the VIPs and the supporters and true fans, that I want to make sure that everything, all the bases are covered. And sure, that includes ensuring that there are enough batteries charged. So, you know, you're not shooting, the battery dies, and then, oh, you know, the batteries weren't on the charger, and then you've got to wait to charge the batteries. I mean, how demoralizing is that? So yeah, so that's kind of the level and extensiveness of being able to understand the technical process and ensuring that everyone knows what they're doing, that the team is well-oiled and able to get the result that they want to get technically. So we've got the creative process, we've got the technical process, and I also covered a little bit the administrative process. And the administrative process, you know, that has to do with management, coordination, administrative oversight of the processes and procedures necessary to see a film all the way into the marketplace. You know, administrating it into existence in the first place, in, you know, the making of it, and then, you know, putting it into the marketplace, and then what to do with it afterwards, right? Some of what we covered, where it's being shown on television in Japan 5 years from when it was made, 10 years from when it was made. all of that, special events, special screenings, charitable events, fundraising events, parties and events where some of the talent are there at festivals down the years, or even at the festival in the first year it's being made, and that there are TVs playing with sizzler reels on the TV screens in the background. I mean, this is kind of a fun thing. All of these things are a part of the whole experience, you know. And you see Endgame just came out. I mean, I think it's going to make $1 billion on its first weekend worldwide. And you know that there are all these kinds of gigs and events and screenings and press gaggles and, all that goes into that whole massive machine rolling out and playing out throughout the course from conception to beyond conception and beyond release and delivery. And I think some of that machine we need to simplify and bring down to a local experience, right? Sponsors that are local, investors, family and friends, and your audience that you're building. All of these people should be able to have a complete film experience, right? But at the scale of a short film. A couple of minutes, 5 minutes max, maybe 10 minutes max, but a really short film. I think 5 minutes should be max for the short film. But some of the behind the scenes stuff can be shown at the parties and events. People can speak and have a question and answer after the film's shown. And having events on the lead up, when you've written the screenplay and shared the screenplay with the audience, with your fans, your friends, you should have a party and celebrate that. There should also be a way to fundraise during that. I mean, there's so much that could be done on a small scale to really make people have a film experience. And it breaks my heart, when I think of some of the opportunities I've had, when there's not any of that, none of it. Most people, a young new film director is making a film. I remember one guy wanted me to be involved. I was kind of skeptical, but he wanted to bring together a few people to meet with him, and he was in terror. We had a meeting, just got together at a coffee shop. I just wanted to get an idea of where he was going and what was up. And it was a disaster, a plane crash. He was not confident at all. But if he'd taken his time to build up the group, build up his audience, build up his team, have events celebrating the release of the finishing of the script, and a party to celebrate that, and showing people the script, and giving copies, making them available, people have been really excited. And he would have been, scared and nervous and excited too. But, it wasn't going to be shot that day. And so, then you go into one of the other later stages of making the film, even in the lead up to pre-production, so that he could just build a stable, comfortable platform on which to make his film comfortably and confidently, and have a team of people around him that he knew were going to take the ball all the way across the line, as it were, to the Super Bowl of a completed film and distributed and profitable. So guys, this is the first stage that I wanted to cover on filmmaking. Again, this is the film shoot show, and it has to do with everything that goes into making films, from before the film's being made, in a way that includes packaging, to after the film's screened and there are festivals and events and activities, meet and greets and the whole process that really, people focus on shooting the film, the making the film, or seeing the film and the impact on them. But I want to get in deep. I want to enjoy it. I want to be able to share and enjoy the whole experience, right? And then cycle through again. So I think this pre-season show, where we're able to go through this material that I've put, some of the material I've put together, but basically going through the the stages of filmmaking, and then probably going to different vendors and meeting with different people and having interviews, etc. Available, so to make the whole experience available to you in the preparation of going through these stages in the making of a short film. And then, you know, pre-season 2, some of the wins from the experience we had, and some of the preparation necessary to in the lead up to the next year, the next season, as it were, 2021. I think we're gonna look at this as a whole year cycle. Writing the script, raising the money, etc., making the film, and then exhibiting it, and all the events that come after it. And as we go through the different stages, you'll see more of what we'll cover in this show, in this pre-season show, and then in the season show that comes afterwards. All right, guys. Well, it's about half an hour show. No commercial breaks. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sure we're going to do a lot of stuff. I've been wanting to make this for the longest time. There's all kinds of things that I felt needed to happen in the lead up to doing a show like this. And also, there's a lot of things that really didn't need to happen. I've got simple lighting. I'm shooting this on my iPhone. I don't have a crew around shooting this. I didn't even put away some of my stuff on my shelf here, and my computer's not on. So, you know, I don't know if that's an horrific production value faux pas. I don't think so. The point is doing it, getting on with it, stripping down all of the artifice, and just sharing with you what I understand, what I've learned, what I've spent decades putting together in terms of understanding, and including you in the process, so together we can have a hell of a lot of fun making films, experiencing the filmmaking process, and end up with a bit of success, low-level success, you know, making a film, a short film, and distributing it in a local environment, right? Exhibiting it in a local independent theatre, probably. Although I've got my eye, there's an independent theatre group, like movie theatre, and there's a pretty good theatre. There are 2 theatres. One of them's sort of in a big building, and I think that's the one I'll end up using. But the other one is kind of grungy. Wow, it's the Tower Theatre in Salt Lake City, in that area, 9th and 9th. But it's grungy is the word I'm looking for. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I keep envisioning having a big tent next to it where there's going to be a big party, and I'm not sure exactly how it'll go. But that's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to find out. Stay tuned to find out where we screen this first movie. But yeah, you know, I keep also thinking of what's that, Cine Lounge, I think, in Hollywood. I had a couple of friends do events there years and years ago. But yeah, like this is going through the whole process, is taking you with me. I want you guys to be have the whole experience as I do, and I want it to be successful. As I say, you know, maybe quite small scale, but I think just successfully making a film that's profitable, where everyone gets paid. I think that's a new thing. I think that's a new opportunity. As I kind of alluded to, I didn't finish the story, but I know so many people, they get involved with films. They're going to get, you know, they're going to do free work. They work their ass off. They, you know, long hours, late hours, and they're promised, you know, when they sign up, a copy of the movie, a credit in the film. They never get a copy of the movie. And if they got a credit in a film, I don't think so. Most of the time they don't. They just put the stars in, and the director and the writer. But it's sad. But, you know, so to actually successfully make a film, you know, I think, and that everyone gets paid, everyone enjoys, that, you know, there are copies distributed to everyone who was involved. There's a whole experience. You're invited to the parties and the events, whether you're an audience member or one of the crew. Everyone gets involved, everyone gets a part of the full and complete experience. Obviously there's going to be a VIP room for sponsors, close people connected to the sponsors, VIPs, the stars, etc. But that's a part of aspiring to be in that position and doing the work, getting involved with us, and getting signed up and doing the work on getting your film made and working with us to ensure that you're in that VIP room with your VIPs, your sponsors, your investors. But you can still have an event where the audience gets to come afterwards to the party. Your true fans are involved and have connection. They get their Facebook live streams, and they get their background, behind the curtain, as it were, insights and access. And I want that for all of you. And I wanted to have that experience, and I've had some of it, but not in terms of me making my film, sharing my messages, and having a good old high time throughout the whole process. Guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoy this video. It's kind of off the cuff, obviously, as you've noticed. I do have the concept for it. I want you to share with me what you enjoyed, what you'd like to see, what of the things I've said resonate with you, what doesn't. Comment, like, share, or just enjoy it. Just tentatively hide watching through the screen and making judgments on what you see without any comment or any involvement. Whatever level of involvement you want, just be a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Next time we'll go into the stage of building relationships, with all of the different people you're going to need, and that's what we'll cover next time. Till then, ciao.